Hello and welcome to the Football 365 Isolation Show. I'm your host, Mark Smith, and I'm here with Matt Stead. We've got like a rotation of guests now, Matt. It was Sarah last week, but Matt Stead, you're back.
Yeah, we've put the B team out this week. We'll have to see how it works.
Yeah, but the B team's had a haircut. So it
certainly
feels
has,
like an A team. Feels like a fresh A team.
Yeah, we're just waiting for you to get a haircut now, Mark. See what happens.
I know, yeah. One day. We've got a lot to talk about this week. It's been sort of a mad weekend. So let's start, as ever, with winners and losers. Now, the winners for this week, I think we have to start with the concept of the relegation battle. Because while the league has been won months ago by Liverpool, there is still quite a lot to play for. There's still a lot of interesting storylines that haven't really been sorted out just yet. And the relegation battle seems to be the most interesting of them all at the moment. A crazy weekend for it. Watford, West Ham, Bournemouth, all winning. Talk me through it, Matt.
Interesting, wasn't it? It kind of seemed like, even in midweek, that the kind of relegation race was run. Obviously, most of the teams down there were losing, but you even forgot to mention Villa, who got a decent result as well. It's all right. I'll clean up, mate. But yeah, it's kind of stoked it back into life, because even Brighton, I assume Brighton were pretty much safe, and they're I think they're only 2 points ahead of West Ham now, or we're still kind of in there. You'd think that even say Villa, who are 18th at the minute, if they put a run together, they will obviously overtake like Watford and stuff. But then Watford are doing well all of a sudden. Craig Dawson's turned into some sort of incredible shot fiend. I think he's had 20 shots since Project Restart has begun, and the rest of the Watford team have managed 22 between themselves, which is absolutely brilliant. Yeah, but it's kind of, this weekend has really ramped it up. Everyone's picked up points, and I think it was for Bournemouth especially, seeing everyone kind of get some wins together, some surprise wins, but then to play last out of everyone, to play a Leicester team who obviously are completely out of sorts, they're low on confidence and everything, but you'd still
we'll talk about Leicester in a bit, I think, but yes, carry on.
But obviously to go behind as well, like they did in the Newcastle game at home, where they kind of just collapsed as soon as they conceded. But to come from behind from there, they had a bit of fortune. It was the same with Villa with the disallowed
handball
goal.
Yeah,
exactly. So everyone's kind of had a bit of fortune, but they've capitalised on that as well, which is what a lot of relegation battling teams fail to do sometimes.
I've been just so impressed this weekend with all four of those sides. And yes, apologies to any Villa fans, I did miss them out at the top. But West Ham on Saturday lunchtime, when you've just seen Mikel Antonio score an unprecedented 4 goals. I mean, he's never scored more than 2 in a game. He scores 4 against Norwich. All right, Norwich, they're the only ones that have been cut adrift, and they're gone. They've been gone for a while, really. But that lunchtime, they must be thinking, this is great. This is probably us safe now. And the pressure that puts on Watford later that afternoon, and then Villa the next day. I mean, Villa at home, no crowd, which might actually be an advantage at the moment. But the pressure on Villa, and you're right, they go a goal down. It gets very controversially disallowed. But still, to rally the troops and come back like that, I was really impressed with. And then that pressure then is twofold on Bournemouth, who are kicking off last game of the weekend, or certainly last game on the Sunday. And I've just been incredibly impressed by the way they've all done it. I mean, Bournemouth also, not only they're a goal down at half-time, they're also their best player down. Nathan Ake goes off with an injury that looks like it might cost him the rest of his season. And you think, well, this is Eddie Howe's team done. And while they did rely on Leicester imploding, I was blown away by how they managed to actually dig something out of that game. And it means that, West Ham at the start of the weekend were all happy. Now they look at it and think, well, our fixtures are difficult, and we might still be down. This is crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Like I say, I assumed Brighton was safe. I think they're only 2 points ahead of West Ham. You assume West Ham battering Norwich, they're going to be all right now. But no, you can't.
No.
Everyone, it feels like everyone's kind of sprinting to keep up in a race, and there's every chance that someone will get stitched eventually. But they're all kind of neck and neck at the minute, trying to match each other, and they've done well this weekend to match each other's results. So it'll be interesting midweek and next weekend.
Yes, a quick thought on the Jack Grealish we call it a dive? I suppose we do call it a dive. The Jack Grealish dive. Go on, we'll make it official. A quick note on that, given that it was originally given, wasn't it, and then overturned by VAR.
Yes.
Any? Are you putting any weight on the conspiracy theories there of who was on VAR duties?
I'm not familiar with these conspiracy theories, to be honest.
Don't go on Twitter then. But essentially, it's spent too much time on there. But given what happened to Villa in the week with Bruno Fernandes, a very, very similar situation to then have it overturned.
I see.
Yeah, I mean, no, right? That's nonsense, isn't it? It was just a dive, and
I'd suggest it's very much studio. I mean, it was an absolutely brilliant dive, and
it's a terrible dive.
I'm quite rare that I advocate diving because I think it's actually quite a brilliant kind of tactic you use in football. Where in football, we've kind of got players who will compete and complain that they don't get throw-ins and stuff like that. That's an element of cheating. That's similar to diving in that you're trying to get an advantage that's unfair, that you're not kind of that you're not owed or anything like that. So I think diving's
you're all for it.
It's a worthwhile.
Oh, hang on a second. Push your hair back a bit. It's Grealish. You're doing a Grealish. That's what it is.
I've got no shin pads on, Mark. I've got no shin pads on.
Really low socks on. Right, we'll do another winner of the week. We'll keep it very brief. We hammer Jose on the show quite a lot, and most of the time, rightly so. But that was a huge result in the North London derby, wasn't it?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, I wrote 16 conclusions on it for the site, and it's very much a Mourinho game in that he's playing it to reduce the risks as much as possible to kind of keep Spurs within a goal or at least level, just in case the Arsenal or the opponent make some sort of mistake. And if you're playing Arsenal, they will eventually do that. They've had decent results recently. Arsenal they've improved defensively. Arteta's done a brilliant job there, but he's still working with Mustafi. He's still working with Luiz. Kolasinac he's a middling left wing back. He's not a centre half, and he's playing in that three-man defensive system. So he will eventually. He's done well, like I say. They've all done well recently, but they're always going to eventually collapse in some way. And
well, they've got a. Sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to say, Mourinho. It's difficult to give him credit when Spurs play like that, and they're kind of waiting on the opponents to make mistakes and stuff. He's the third highest paid manager in world football. You'd expect something a bit more grand than waiting for someone else.
Why would you? Hang on,
whoa.
Why would you expect that?
Because it's like you look at Pep Guardiola, who will go on the offence. He'll take the front foot and stuff like that. He's got a wider philosophy where if you were watching a game, you had no idea who the teams were, who the players were, who the managers were. You would know that's a Pep Guardiola team.
Yeah. But what I mean, Matt. But what I mean is, why would you expect that from Jose? You didn't bring in Jose and put him on 15 million quid a year to play expansive attacking football. You bought him because he's a name and he makes your club look like a bigger deal. That's it. There's no other reason why you'd sign Jose. And very also, true, by the way, the only manager that paid, one of the only managers that's paid more than him is Diego Simeone. And he doesn't play that sort of football either.
He doesn't play that sort of football, but if you were to watch, like I say, any Atletico Madrid game without knowing it was Atletico, or without knowing they were the players or who the coach was, you would know that is Diego Simeone team. They've got that stamp on there. And with Mourinho as well, he made this big deal about kind of being out of football for a while after the United game. After the United tenure, sorry. He's been out of football for about a year, and he made this big deal about kind of, I've learned a whole load of new things in all these months.
The rebirth.
I've been watching a load of different games. I've got a load of different tactics and stuff like that. And it's just the exact same thing. But with this weekend, it's worked. So you can't really argue with it.
No, it wasn't fun though, was it? Okay, let's move on to losers. We have touched upon them already, but Leicester City, man, like, I hate the phrase bottle job or bottlers or whatever, but since the restart, actually since Christmas, really, they have absolutely gone to pieces, haven't they? I mean, Kasper Schmeichel had just completely lost his head there. There was a 7-minute spell there where Schmeichel and Leicester as a whole completely just sort of burst and imploded. And it's like they've got a lot of money on themselves finishing outside the Champions League spot. It just seems like a bizarre second half against Bournemouth.
Is that another conspiracy theory you've got there?
I think it might be. And I've got another one coming up as well.
I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, with Leicester, it's weird in that I think you are probably right to call it something close to a bottle job. Because they started so brilliantly this season, and then they got to, it was around Christmas, they played Liverpool and Man City over the space of, I think it was within the same week. They got absolutely battered by Liverpool, and they lost fairly comprehensively to City. And from there, you kind of thought, right, well, they'll drop off now. They'll establish themselves as the third best team in the league. But they've just carried on going, and they've had obviously the League Cup semi-final as well. They kind of lost that when they played a team that they should easily beat. Villa, no disrespect to them at all, but when you compare their squads, there's just no comparison.
It's night and day, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. With Leicester as well, you're kind of looking at it and thinking, right, they've dropped off in the league a little bit. Maybe they'll go for the FA Cup. Then they're losing that to Chelsea when Chelsea kind of had lost a bit of their momentum. Obviously, they've done that again this weekend. But you're looking at it and thinking they've gone from a supposed title challenge around Christmas. It was always fanciful to think that, but even then, kind of being the third best team in the league, hopefully going for a cup, because they've had they could easily put in 6 out of 10 performances from January onwards and still qualify for the Champions League. No problem.
And they just haven't done that.
No, it's not even been average. And even with it, this weekend, like you say, they've had Kasper Schmeichel messing up. They've had Johnny Evans' own goal. You can't really blame it too much.
Well, that's one of those things.
Yeah, and then it was Christian Fuchs with the back pass for Dominic Solanke's second goal. You're looking at it and kind of thinking these experienced players are letting the team down. It's not just, say, the youngsters. Maybe
they're Premier League winning players.
Exactly. So it's difficult to kind of look at it from a perspective and think, right, well, they're still in the top 4. They've got to the semi-finals of one cup. They've got to the quarterfinals of another. And yet, it's looking like it might be a disappointing season. If they finish 5th or 6th, they're going to be not devastated by any means, and it won't be a failure. But in the context of,
I think they will be devastated.
In the context of the season and what it could have been, definitely.
Huge opportunity when you've got, let's go up to Christmas. United weren't playing well. Chelsea weren't playing well. Spurs and Arsenal were nowhere. This was a big opportunity to, really assert themselves as being the top 4 fixture. They have my sympathy because Maddison's been out for a while. Vardy had a long run without scoring many goals. Chilwell's now out, which is the reason why Fuchs is playing. But like you say, these are seasoned international players that are still playing. Soyuncu, who was hailed as the best thing since sliced bread, and the reason why United messed up was that they should have got Soyuncu and not the 85 million quid on Maguire. Well, actually, I think that the Soyuncu hype was largely used as a stick to beat Maguire with. And I'm not sure he is the answer there. I think they probably need at least strength in depth, if not a better centre-back to go alongside Johnny Evans. Because that at the weekend...
Ryan Bennett come off the bench as well, didn't he? And then he got absolutely rinsed by Solanke.
Absolutely hammered by Solanke, who just doesn't score. Anyway, Soyuncu, that there, the sort of petulance in kicking out after the goal there. I know it's a flashpoint, but you have to just maintain some sort of composure because he's now probably going to be out for the rest of the season, isn't he? I imagine it's a 3-match ban for violent conduct. He's he's a staple player in that side. They've got tough games coming up. They've still got to play United on the last day of the season. I think who else have got to play? Spurs? Have I got that wrong? Got to play someone else anyway.
I'm not going to name them.
But they've got to play tough games, and without a one of the most important centre-backs. It might be Sheffield United, actually. Anyway, on to our final loser of the week. And I think given the news that's broken this morning, Matt, the news that Man City have had their Champions League ban overturned entirely and their financial penalty halved, surely a loser this week has to be UEFA and FFP. Is FFP dead, Matt?
I think as it is now, definitely, it's a case of when UEFA introduced these regulations, they needed to get a big club banged to rights. They needed to get someone in clear contravention of these rules, though they could go, right, you're banned from this, you're banned from that, you've got this fine. This is going to be a deterrent for everyone else. So say Newcastle now, if this takeover ever goes through, which it won't because it's Newcastle and that's hilarious, they could easily just go ahead and sign whoever they want now in terms of what City have done, and they've kind of found these loopholes to get these commercial deals or whatever. Which is fine if you can do the loopholes and you can prove that they're not in any contravention of the regulations. Then why won't teams do that?
That's what loopholes are there for.
Exactly. And football teams will always, whether it's on the pitch or off the pitch, they'll always find a way to get ahead, get whatever advantage they can. And if it's not going to be punished, then they'll carry on doing that. So UEFA have tried to do that with City. They've tried to do it with PSG, and they've tried to do it with a couple of other teams. And they've never got it to stick with a big team. And I think in that regard, with the way this has gone, it's been an absolute comprehensive failure. So they're going to have to change something now.
Yeah, it's very frustrating. A team like mine, Derby County, obviously operating at a much lower level. We're in trouble at the minute, potentially, for maybe similar things. I'm not sure exactly what it is. But we have to work within a very stringent framework. And, you know, the loopholes that we see, we also try and exploit. But we have a team of people that are solely focused on making sure we don't overspend. Same for lots of other teams at our level and in the Premier League at a lower level than City. It just feels like it's a bit of a waste of time if the big clubs can get away with it like this.
Yeah, very much so. And for City, obviously, with the 2-year ban and the initial €30 million fine, that is obviously huge. And to get that reduced to a €10 million fine is absolutely nothing. It's
pocket money.
1/5 of a John Stone. Exactly, it's 1/5 of a John Stone. So
wow, what a way to think about life.
Well, precisely. That's the only way I measure any terms of money, just in terms of John.
How much was your car? It was John Stone's a small toe.
1/1,000,000th of a John Stone.
Yeah, it's so £50 you spent on a car.
It's not very good. Sorry.
No, about to say. Okay, well, I'm sure we'll have more to talk about on this FFP thing next week. Lots to digest. It's only just broken, as I say, about an hour ago, so we haven't got all the information just yet. Right, Matt Stead, thank you very much for joining me today. We'll be back same time next week. If you want to get in touch with the show, email us at theeditor@football365.com. Until next time, goodbye.